Hello there everybody, it's Saban92 aka Nightmare, and welcome back to Rose Guns Day Season 3. In the last episode, we got started on the tale of Alan, Keith, and Yuki. Alan is just a sweetheart, I love him. I love him to death already. He's such... the wild brawler Alan. I don't know how to English today right now. I'm still kind of recovering right now. And the sniper Keith. And Yuki does not like pretty much everything to do with what Alan is, so that relationship is doomed to fail. So I guess we're going to be focusing on these guys now.
Even a fight between drunks seems sort of charming.
At first, the people were put off by the foreigners flowing into Tokyo, but they gradually grew used to it. Well, except for the times when they pressed in around the employment agency looking for high wages. Drunks and low-level laborers were quick to get along.
Could it be the power of alcohol and body language? It makes you think that words aren't the most important part of international relations.
Huh. Well, of course. Charming scenes like this only occurred in a certain part of the old downtown area. If you took the city as a whole, relationships with foreigners, well, they were as strained as ever. Acclamation and resignation reduced the friction a bit, but their essential opposition remained unchanged.
And on top of that, there was the Cold War between Primavera and the GDS after the Soy Sauce War.
Even more important was the mistaken impression that Primavera had tried to make a bundle off of soy sauce.
Yeah. Before, people had thought of Madame Rose and Primavera as the saviors of their Japanese countrymen. However, the city folk now thought of them as a simple mafia, whose shroud of fake benevolence had been torn away. Though the city folk had once sympathized with Madame Rose's noble ideals. Ever since the Soy Sauce War, businessmen in the Japanese community began to distance themselves from the mafia called Primavera. If the Japanese wanted to protect their culture and goals, it was essential that they first establish a self-sufficient basis for their lifestyles. They urgently needed to rearrange the frail foundations of their distribution system, which Wong had been able to take over so easily. As has been stated before, when a distribution system's scale grows larger and larger, those controlling it will have a bigger and bigger advantage when making deals. Madame Rose wanted to make the distribution network of the Japanese community in City 23 more firm by uniting it into one. However, in a complete reversal of their attitudes until the year before, the reactions of the businessmen were unenthusiastic. Yep. Richard's office.
If the Japanese want to protect their lifestyles after becoming a minority, they must remain united. As merchants, you should know better than anyone else that both money and people become stronger when gathered together in a bunch.
I understand what you're saying. I think it sounds reasonable.
However, well... Please, everyone, we want to hear your frank and candid opinions. Our consigliere Richard has just stated what our ideals are. There's no way to protect the post-war Japanese community except unity. We did manage to stop the recent economic invasion made by Wang Yinhong, but we won't get another chance like that. The war via soldiers has been concluded, but the war itself hasn't ended at all.
Foreign businessmen will probably start by offering you deals on advantageous terms. However, once they swallowed you all, their attitudes will change abruptly. Forgive my rudeness, but I believe some among you have already complied with these strategies of theirs.
Well, you did ask us for our candid opinions. So, allow me to be frank.
Please do.
We've never forgotten the tyranny of the Caleb era, nor the debt we owe you for releasing us from that. Of course, we don't intend to forget that going forward either.
Thank you very much. But of course we have no intention of demanding anything in return for what we did.
No. We understand your heart well, Madame Rose. We understand, but... We are merchants, and... Well, you of Primavera are not.
We're extremely grateful for your protection, and we're not unwilling to pay you in exchange for it.
However, that doesn't mean you can tell us what to do in our business. It's what more and more people are thinking.
I don't know why I gave that guy a lisp. I don't know why. Then again, I've never tried that kind of voice, I think. The City 23 Japanese Distribution Association that Rose is proposing would be a very large-scale project. After all, they were trying to tie together all distribution in the City 23 Japanese community. Conditions for deals grew more favorable when the scope of the deal is larger. If they could all join together, they could form a massive business partner that American merchants and the occupying forces wouldn't be able to ignore, to say nothing of Chinatown. And by setting up a balance of purchases between America, China, and Japan, they could avoid becoming dependent on any single camp. If they could succeed in that, they'd be able to prevent a recurrence of the soy sauce war. However, bundling everyone together would require an unprecedented revolution. Bundling distribution together would be the same as bundling all merchants together. In the past, several mafias had existed in C-23's underworld. How much blood had it taken to bundle those together into one Primavera? This new plan would be on par with doing the same thing again. The mild merchants, who disliked shedding blood with other people, showed their understanding for Rose's ideals. However, there was also a considerable supply of ambitious merchants, looking for a chance to get rich quick in these chaotic times. These merchants thought in exactly the same way as mafias. They wanted to make more money than anyone else. They wanted to break away from the pack. They had no desire to go under someone else's umbrella if there was no profit in it for them. The establishment of a distribution association would work almost exactly opposite of their desires.
Of course, we support your idea, Madam Rose. There's a lot of people out there to say differently, but you're still the person to guide our Japanese countrymen.
Thank you very much. We'll never do anything to betray your expectations.
However, the young one's unsatisfied. Those of us who are doing business since before the war prized local connections above all else. That's why we can understand your position, but...
You mean ambitious people who started after the war, people looking to get rich quick, have no interest in a community of mutual cooperation between countrymen?
That's pretty much it. One of those young people has been taking the lead on this matter. He's, going around telling people that Primavera is trying to swindle us of our money, and he's gathering votes for an opposing faction.
If he's spreading around a misunderstood version of our true intentions, that certainly is troublesome.
President, what is the man's name?
His name? What was it again? I'm pretty sure it was,
Davis Degawa. Heard something about him starting a business with diamonds he plundered from the battlefield.
He's one shitty bastard. So, he's stirring up a faction opposed to the association. Yes, I remember Davis. It's a joke to call him a young merchant. He's entirely a person from our realm. A tough customer, certainly. Oh, you know him? A while ago, he opened up a gambling spot and started raking it in. He just happened to bump against my turf.
What happened?
Well, I did offer to make him my right-hand man at gunpoint. Through various means.
From what we've investigated, he's not the sort of man to wag his tail for anyone.
Precisely. So what do you think he did next?
No clue.
Alfred?
Son of a bitch! Alfred! Hello, dude!
He went and sold off all his gambling houses. Sold them to Alfred Akagi.
Oh my god, that's crazy! So he sold Crazy Alfred everything, including the fight.
Thanks to that, it quickly turned into a war between Alfred and me. We managed to strike a deal in the end, but one of those places whose interior decorating I'd chosen myself was blown to bits with dynamite first.
After all, that crazy guy used to be the biggest destructive force in the city. Quite a wild dude, too.
Nothing to be gained by dealing with someone like that.
Davis specializes in making the biggest mess of things he could, then taking the money and running. I'll bet that this time too he's planning to fire up an anti-association faction to make trouble, then grab all the good stuff for himself.
Davis, huh? That bastard. Making a mess of Rosan's work. The fact that this guy managed to rope in Alfred, oh my god.
The states are the leading members of the capitalism camp. There's no problem we can't resolve with money.
So, it won't come cheap after all.
No helping it. At least they're willing to let bygones be bygones. I remember how they came crying to me when Primavera started dealing only with Japanese merchants.
Oh.
America, China, and Japan. Unless City 23 could maintain balanced dealings between these three camps, it wouldn't be able to maintain its autonomy. However, there was a lot of bad feeling between American merchants and Primavera. Once, in the past, Rose had made all clubs in the Primavera Alliance switch to dealing with Japanese businessmen in order to support her countrymen. In other words, all of a sudden, many foreign businessmen found that their deals with Primavera had been ended. That had dealt a heavy blow to American merchants who had made particularly large deals with Primavera. When Primavera only represented clubs and ladies of the evening, they had a reason to reject foreign merchants to support their countrymen first policy. But now, when they had the grand goal of stabilizing distribution across City 23, their past was coming back to bite them. Though they were able to wipe the slate clean with Butler as an intermediary, those merchants were demanding compensation for their losses and guarantees for the future.
It's hard to call this a fair price, but we do have some understanding of their position. We acted unjustly in a business sense. There's no helping it.
Yeah, unjustly.
At the time, it was more important for us to support our countrymen. A new situation calls for a different response. That's all there is to it.
No need to worry about it. It's normal for friends and enemies to swap positions. Happens all the time. It's common in the world of adults. There's no need to get it so down, Rose-chan.
She's just a bit tired. Just a short while ago, she was in a meeting with some merchants.
I'm sorry, Captain. I've been feeling a bit feverish for a while.
Hey, you okay? You've been pretty busy getting that association ready, right?
She's working too hard. Get a little rest. The captain and I will finish the rest.
That's right. Leave the rest to us and get a little rest.
I'm sorry. I'll call it a night then, if you don't mind.
Rose nodded to them with a full smile. However, her face was a little pale, and you could see that she wasn't in perfect health. That's not good.
You sure she's not overworking herself?
She has a bad habit of involving herself in every matter simply because she represents our group. She doesn't know how to cut corners.
She is dead earnest, after all.
Even so, I do try hard to shut out anything she doesn't need to hear. After all, she feels a strong sense of responsibility. She would get herself involved.
If Rose-chan goes down, Primavera's finished, right? I think you'd better work a bit harder to shield her.
Of course. She sets out the policies and we focus on practical business. There's more to supporting her than simply standing by her side and offering advice. In the future, I plan to step forward more proactively, taking the lead in Primavera's management.
You've changed, too. When I first met you, I figured you were the type who'd raise objections whenever Rose-chan proposed something, slowing her down.
That sort of support isn't suitable for Rose now. Rose is our king. No, our queen. What country would let their king fight personally or have him till the fields?
I guess so.
Rose's ideals won't become reality if she guides it, and the people simply obey her. They'll only come true if the people understand those ideals and move of their own accord. As the person in charge of supporting the madam, I must take the lead and take action. I merely realize that obvious fact.
Butler agreed with Richard's view. Rose's ideals were a noble thing which would show the path for her countrymen. However, ideals exist to show the way, and there was no need for her to stand at the brunt against the oncoming winds. Rose would point, and their resilient countrymen would cut a path through the fierce waves. Rose's heart was too beautiful to be worn down by those waves. Rose couldn't be allowed to fall yet. Even so, she remained standing at the head. However, before long, it may no longer be necessary for her to stand at the head. It would be okay for Rose to entrust her ideals to her reliable allies and rest. That was why the organization called Primavera existed. As Richard eloquently said this, he resumed his meeting with Butler with even more passion.
Captain, sorry to bother you while you're working, but could I borrow my brother for a bit?
Oh, I don't mind. I was just thinking of asking for a soft drink.
Someone make the captain something non-alcoholic.
What is it? Is it urgent?
With a bright business smile, Stella led Richard into a blind spot in the corridor. Then, after checking that no one was watching them, she spoke with a tense expression.
Rose fainted.
What?
Calm down. No one knows yet. Wayne and I are going to take her to the hospital soon.
What's her condition? Is she okay? Is it fatigue? Some sort of illness?
Calm down. It's probably fatigue. I think she's just too tired. You and the others have been working Rose too hard lately. You haven't forgotten she's a girl, have you?
I have no words. It's my responsibility for not taking notice of her physical condition.
Ever since all that trouble with that soy sauce, Rose has been working every day without breaks. What on earth are you making her do? You and the others keep bringing these thorny matters to her, wearing her out. Please show at least a little concern for her health. Jesus.
Those days of exhausting work might have been too much for Rose's delicate body. Ever since establishing the Primavera family, she hadn't stood still for even a moment. But it was probably more than that. There was such an extreme change in atmosphere between this year and the previous one. At some point, the sacredness of Madame Rose, the woman praised for guiding her countrymen, had been lost. And it would definitely make sense for it to be weighing down on her this badly, but good God. Primavera wasn't a savior for its countrymen, just a greedy mafia. Once that view became common, it was only natural that the winds would start blowing in the opposite direction, and the stress would probably eat away at her. All the hard work that she has done, only to be viewed in such a horribly negative light. And she's doing it for a good reason, but damn. No matter what sort of ideals Rose tried to proclaim, they would be greeted with suspicion, and people would assume she was doing it for selfish reasons. Rose had been exposed to too much slander, while trying to solve each and every mistake assumption. Ladies of the evening learn how to pick up on subtle clues to read what people are thinking, and that must have driven the blade of slander deeper. Even now, Rose was suffering in the middle of a nightmare. She was being tormented by the great responsibility of leading her countrymen, and their overly cold criticism. We think what she's saying sounds reasonable, but... Whisper, don't get involved. We're poor. We aren't super rich like you. Guess this means Madame Rose has been exposed for what she really is, huh? She acted like a saint, but her mind was full of plans to make money. After all, the rumors say... I hear you've been lining your pockets by the amount you dropped wages. Well, lucky you.
Stella? Are you awake? Do you remember? You suddenly fainted.
Rosan, please rest. The doctor will be here soon.
Sorry for fainting all of a sudden. I must have worried you. You were tossing and turning a lot. Poor thing. I see. Dreams are pretty strange, aren't they? You forget them as soon as you wake up.
However, Stella knew that what Rose had been dreaming. Even as she had tossed and turned, she had been frantically trying to convince the people inside her nightmare.
Hey, Rose?
What is it?
Recently, I finally figured something out. This ideal society you're aiming for, you aren't heading towards it by the most direct route, are you?
It's been in my intention to take the most direct route.
I'm sorry, I said that in a confusing way. That's not what I mean. As part of taking the most direct route to your ideal society, maybe you've been trying to make something else happen first. At first, even I thought that if you became a leader and guided everyone, we'd all be able to reach the promised land together. But if that happened, then in the future, when you're gone, everyone would take the wrong path and become lost again.
In the end, society is about ties between people. In school, all you need to do is listen to what your teacher says, but society doesn't work that way. Unless everyone walks forward together, no ideal can become reality. I think even I misunderstood that at first. I mistakenly thought that if I stood alone at the head to guide them, everything would work out.
We've learned a lot over these past few years. The fact that we've ended up here shows what foolish and weak creatures we Japanese are. We're always irresponsible trying to blend in with the crowd. Anyone who stands out gets knocked down. And yet, we're always waiting for a savior to come. It reminds me of your theory that the Japanese only managed to survive until the 20th century because we've been protected by the sea.
We are very weak.
And that's why. That's why you thought we Japanese had to grow, to become people suited for an ideal society before we could even start building one.
Yeah.
By now, I think this bizarre Tokyo, filled with a mix of Americans and Chinese, might be a good medicine for the Japanese. Of course, it's a powerful drug. Most of the Japanese will probably be kicked out of this Tokyo.
But someday there may be some Japanese people who gain the resilience needed to stand on the same level as the foreigners. When that happens, I believe they'll be able to build a society of their countrymen founded on a spirit of mutual cooperation.
That's the future you see, isn't it? I wonder when that'll happen.
I don't know. But I haven't lost hope as much as you think. In the time since the Japanese were exposed to civilization less than a century ago, they've grown so much. I'm sure that once another 100 years have passed, they'll be much more resilient.
So you're talking about 2049 by the Western calendar? That's incredibly far in the future. I wonder if humanity will be living in outer space cities by then. Yeah. But can we frail Japanese survive until a dizzyingly distant future?
That's what Primavera is for. I'm nothing more than a single gear in history. It's completely impossible for me to stimulate 100 years of Japanese evolution. However, if we want to protect that century-long incubation period, we need to build a shell.
A shell?
A durable shell that'll protect the weak chicks for a century. And also, various forms of power to protect the rights of self-government that must be passed on to our countrymen 100 years in the future.
Influence. Wealth. Force. Doesn't that basically describe Primavera?
That's right. We need to pass on the 3 types of power that can protect the growth of our countrymen for 100 years and build an ideal society for them in the future. That's Primavera's, Madame Rose's role.
We've reached the hospital. We've spoken with them, so please enter through the back. Okay, good. We need to get to the hospital, girl. Just to be doubly sure, a careful examination was made. The result was, as expected, overwork. The doctor recommended a break for the near future, but there were no openings in Madame Rose's schedule. The negotiations and meetings with big American, Chinese, and Japanese merchants who held power in City 23 couldn't wait. The doctor understood the circumstances, but still made a point of being firm with his warnings. If you don't rethink how you handle your work, this'll happen again and again. And each time you fall down, your lifespan will shrink.
When Wayne heard this, he turned pale and urged her to rest, but Rose was too stubborn to be coaxed into agreeing. I can handle this just fine. As Stella listened to Rose saying this over and over, she hung her head and didn't move. Damn it. To Stella Maogi. Primavera was supposed to be no more or less than a place that guaranteed good pay to ladies of the evening. When had that changed? When had she started supporting mutual cooperation between countrymen, focusing on something as extravagant as the future of their people? In this park, which was slightly larger even than the other ones in the Japanese colony, a large group of Japanese children were playing. In their midst, her sister's son, Yuji, was playing in a sandbox. Yuji Eugene Maogi. That child who had once been the baby Richard carried around on his back was now a 2-year-old. Not only could he crawl, but he was walking around as he pleased, and could even speak in short sentences. Maybe he was developing a sense of self, as he'd entered his first rebellious stage, insisting that he could do everything himself and fiercely resisted any help. Earlier, Stella had joined Yuji as he played in the sandbox, but she couldn't keep up with a 2-year-old's endless stamina. She'd slipped away while he was engrossed in playing by himself. She'd wanted to rest on a bench a short ways away, where she could watch over Yuji. A single young man had sat at the end of that bench. Normally, she wouldn't have wanted to sit on a bench with a man, even if he was sitting at the end. But she was tired and she couldn't find a convenient bench anywhere else.
Mind if I sit here?
Keith?
Park benches are public property. No need to ask my permission or anything. Oh? Could you be Stella Maogi?
Ah, pardon me. Have we met somewhere before?
Yeah, I'm with Primavera, a member of battalion.
Oh, one of Maurice's crew. Still, I wonder where it was we met. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Nah, don't worry about it. We're low-level soldiers, after all. Not the sort of people the 7 heroes need remember.
Hey, enough of that 7 heroes business. It's embarrassing.
The other day, Stella had sent a request to Cyrus for some bodyguards to quell some trouble brewing in her faction's club. Since that was right in the middle of Battalion's territory, their boss Maurice introduced a set of bodyguards to her, with Alan the Brawler at the head. Apparently, Keith had been part of that group.
Thanks for your help back there. The girls are delighted when you came dashing in so quickly.
It's my job. Got paid for it, after all.
What are you doing here?
Here to meet up with my partner. So, you dropped by to play with your kid or something? Ah, my bad. Shouldn't speak so casually to one of the 7 heroes.
That doesn't really matter. I'm not the sort of person you to speak formally to.
Still, it's surprising. Didn't expect you to have a kid.
He's the child of my dead sister. Brother and I are raising him. I haven't even gotten married, much less given birth, and I keep hearing, "Mama, Mama." It's enough to give you a headache.
Stella was being talkative, possibly because she was worn out after playing with Yuji for so long. Children tend to have a large amount of stamina, so it's easy to get worn out. Keith's dry, unimposing style of speech might have been relaxing for her. Dry, unimposing, so I think it's a good idea. I've been doing that voice then.
Do you like kids?
I do. They're cute, aren't they?
So I guess you've never had to raise one.
Then, do you hate kids?
Sure do. They're noisy and tiring, too. If he weren't my sister's son, I'd have kicked him out.
Stella spoke flippantly, but there was a trace of softness in her voice.
Childcare must be tough. But when you're just gazing at them like this, children really are nice. They're so direct. They have futures. They have all sorts of possibilities.
Aren't you being a bit idealistic?
And anyway, if I started hating children, I'd end up hating all humans.
You hate adults?
Yep, hate those guys. I hate adults. I hate the Japanese. And I hate the army and superior officers.
What? Did you get picked on by some demonic lieutenant? Huh. Interesting.
That didn't matter. Nothing that minor would matter.
Huh. Well, I just got a glimpse into Keith's character. By the way, aren't you hot?
Huh? This?
Yeah. You look like you're all geared up for winter. I'll bet it's burning in this weather.
I was in Siberia. It's one of those mental scar things. Even in the middle of summer, whenever I feel a breeze at my neck, it's like my whole body feels frozen.
Siberia? You were in a prison camp there? Poor thing. I hear it's incredibly cold there.
It gets about negative 30 degrees Celsius there during the winter, I guess. It's harsh, but you get used to it.
I imagine that just means the people who didn't adapt never came back.
Well, you have plenty of Russian people living their lives in that cold. You make do. That's not what's really harsh, though.
So, the Russian guards were rough after all?
It's normal for the enemy to be rough. It's normal for the cold to be rough. There's nothing too painful about normal stuff. What's really painful is not the enemy, but your allies. The Japanese were harsher.
Life in a freezing prison camp had strained their hearts to the brink. Very little to eat, heavy labor with an intensive schedule, and the inescapable cold. Moreover, that burden wasn't distributed evenly across the prisoners. Even after surrendering and having their rank insignia stripped, their hierarchical relationships remained when they became prisoners. Damn. Oh god, not this piece again, not this music.
Underlings were treated like underlings the whole time. Senior officers kept throwing their weight around after being captured and were unfair all the time. They yelled at the young ones, telling them to take the initiative during the heavy labor. Even when it came to their scarce food, the officers were given more. Malnutrition. Cold that could freeze the blood. Accidents during heavy labor. Swindling the underlings without a second thought. Some of the officers even tried to suck up to the Russian troops, selling out their comrades for better treatment. As the countless unbearable betrayals piled up, the young ones fell to their deaths on the frozen ground one by one. Damn it. Help each other in times of trouble, my ass. Hardship is valuable to the young? Bullshit. Back then, I figured it out. There's no future for a country where the old swindle the young.
Jeez.
That's why I hate Japan. I hate Japanese adults. I want them all to die.
I wonder if those kids playing over there will turn into adults like that someday.
They will, if nothing changes. That's why I think Madame Rosa's society of cooperation between countrymen might work. She isn't just some girl with big dreams. She sticks to that ideal even after seeing how weak and filthy the Japanese are.
You're right. She understands the weakness of the Japanese better than anyone.
That's why I'm in Primavera. With Primavera, I'm sure those kids won't turn into the kind of adults I hate.
A future for our countrymen, huh? At that moment, they heard someone calling out. It was Alan. Stella realized that the person Keith was waiting for had arrived. I thought you hated adults.
Alan's the only one who didn't betray me. That's why I'm alive. That's why I'm here.
Whoa! Beautiful! Hey, what's going on here? When'd you ever get to know a beauty like this?
You've met her too. Did you forget?
Huh? Where? Where? To think I forgot the face of a beauty like this! This is the greatest failure of Alan Aramaki's life!
See you later then. Let us know when you need a job done. We'll be waiting.
I'll work hard to make sure that nothing happens that forces us to call you. Well, that won't do. We want to earn a whole bunch and make it big. In the sandbox, Yuji started crying, "Mama, Mama." Even though he had been so engrossed with playing in the sand, he suddenly felt lonely as soon as he turned around and saw Stella wasn't there. The future of a 2-year-old like him is still a blank sheet. Would he emulate dirty adults and turn into one himself? Or would he earn resilience and a spirit of cooperation, clearing a path for the future of his countrymen? These kids are truly like empty canvases, containing possibilities for both outcomes. To Stella and Keith, they must have shone like jewels. I've decided, Rose. Yuji. Yuji, unsatisfied by the time it was taking Stella to reach him, started sobbing out loud. Stella crouched down and held his shoulders. Yuji, from now on, I'll live for you and your future. Aw, that was sweet. That was really touching. Sorry to keep you waiting, boss. We're always hungry. Sorry about this, suddenly calling you out during a meal again. Order anything you like. Manager, give him the best sandwiches you've got. Oh, I'd like mine without bacon. And extra veggies. Ah, you can take his bacon and stick it in mine. Let me introduce you, Wayne. These are our problem erasers, Alan and Keith. Are they skilled? Hey, are you just gonna ask that right in front of us? Well, we're pretty good if I say so myself, Mr. Wayne. They like to joke around, but their talent's the real deal. Cyrus also wants them on the job. So, is someone causing you trouble? I love trouble. Of course, that'll come with a bonus, right? If you succeed, the Grand Boss said he'd be generous. Understood. I'll handle information gathering. You can deal with carrying it out. Our Oliver will investigate. He's a man you can trust. A pleasure to meet you. So, are you skilled? Ah, come on, don't say that! Oliver! Your target is Davis Degawa. He's the source of the headaches all ailing our madam. Thanks to him, her makeup's in a fix, and it's got her in quite a bad mood. He's gathering up those people who don't like the distribution network, planning to make a fuss. So, just need to clean this guy up, huh? If you went out of your way to get us specifically, guess he's a pretty troublesome foe, yeah? He seems to be fully aware that he's wanted dead. He's as slippery as a rat. We can't pin down his location. On top of that, he's got insanely good instincts. He could easily spot an ambush. Sounds like he's evaded attacks multiple times in the past. Was it an animal sense of smell or just incredibly good luck? For a villain like Davis to last this long, he'd need some uncommon ability. Cyrus had decided that the true problem erasers would be needed to erase Davis this time. Interesting! Let's put this villain to the test. Can't wait to see if his instincts can spot a scope poking out of a curtain 500 meters away. We know he's hiding somewhere in City 23. Finding people like him is our specialty. The stink of a villain can never be fully hidden. There's no doubt we'll find it. So, it'll be a race so you can find him first. We aren't the only ones with a keen nose. He's a rat, so leave it to us rats to find him. Huh. At least Oliver's getting more screen time. So, each group will fill a different role. Then let us know when you rats find the target. We'll be drinking tea or something until then. Drink as much as you like, but make sure you're available to be contacted at any moment. Woo-hoo-hoo! Wayne-san, this is gonna be a feast! Go easy on the alcohol, will you? This will all be pointless if you're a useless drunk when the time comes. He sure thinks he's all that, even though he's younger than us. Don't say that. He's pretty talented himself. I hear he's one of the 3 who stormed into the Belton Plaza Hotel. Hey, we fought against a Soviet-mobilized sniper division for 3 months, just the 2 of us. Don't get ticked off. I know full well how amazing you are. I wish people understood that awesomeness a bit more. We want respect. We want to become more famous and set ourselves ahead of the pack. Maybe they can compensate for that lack of respect with more cash. When Alan patted Keith's shoulder comically, his sulkiness disappeared. Both Alan and Keith craved the limelight, wanting to be properly appreciated for their skills. But it wasn't so simple as them wanting to show off. They wanted to gain a name for themselves. Those pitiful young men weren't even given graves, but simply fell down on the frozen soil and got buried by the snow. So they're kind of doing this as a sort of sign of respect for the comrades that they lost during those, well, basically prison camps. Of course they were given no tombstones. If they disappeared from the memories of their war comrades, then even which corpse belonged to whom would be forgotten. These two, who couldn't even remember whose skulls had stared up at them from beneath the melted snow, wanted to earn a name for themselves before they died. Oh. Okay. You'll get your money. And I'll figure out something on the respect side, too. After all, the Consigliere always wants to reward hard workers like you. Sweet. That's our boss. Knows just what'll make us happy. Plenty of prizes, success of all sizes. Getting all fired up as the excitement rises. Oh my god, I like that. Huh? The fuck's that supposed to be? What the hell, that's so weird. Maurice seemed annoyed, but Alan's meaningless puns were always right in Keith's strike zone, apparently. I freaking love these two. Oh my god, I love them. Oh, they're just so precious. Hi, hello there, Alan. Were you surprised when a Chinese man suddenly answered the phone? Sorry, that was my Chinese assistant. I always tell him not to answer my phone, but he keeps forgetting. Ah, I got it. Sure shocked me. Guess the company you're trying to set up is pretty multinational. Haven't I always told you? China, America, Japan. You won't be able to do business in Tokyo anymore if you aren't acquainted with all three. Anyway, what is it? Are you inviting me to dinner? Sorry though, I've got plans tonight. You know, that dinner meeting with the woman boss of Primavera. With Madame Rose? Pretty incredible. You're worried, aren't you? You're thinking the Mafia might do something to me? No, I'm not worried about that at all. Lots of people started picking on her recently, but she's an incredible person who always cares for us Japanese. All the people around her are pretty shady, but I hear she's a saint herself. Is that so? And here I thought you were worried about me. Guess I shouldn't have kept my expectations up. That's not it. I'm always concerned for your safety, Yuki-chan. Thank you. So then, the next time I'll have space for dinner should be, Oh, sorry. Actually, the reason I called was the opposite. Huh? Pretty troublesome jobs come up. I'll have to be on call for a while. The information gathering skills of the wild dogs are held in high regard, but it still probably takes them some time. Their opponent was a man who knew dozens of reasons people wanted him dead. It probably wouldn't be easy to pick up his trail. Grabbing him would probably be messy and down to the wire without any time for careful preparation. It made Alan feel lonely, but he'd probably have to forego dinner with Yuki until his job was finished. What happened? What sort of job would put a bar back on call for several days? There was this huge cockroach in the store. Right now the young employees are trying to find out where it's hiding. As soon as they find it, me and my partner will come in and bang! Squish! That's not funny at all. I hate it when people dodge questions like that. Normally she'd call it an interesting joke and laugh, but today Yuki was disapproving and called him on it. After making excuses for a while, she finally realized that she was saying she'd be lonely if she couldn't see him for a while. Until now, their relationship had involved the hyper Alan approaching her one-sidedly. So when Alan had suddenly come out and said they wouldn't be able to meet, Yuki received a minor shock. Sorry, Yuki-chan. It really is about work. It's not like I didn't want to see you because I was annoyed or anything like that. Of course. There's no way I could be at fault in our relationship. I'm an attractive woman, so I'm confident I'll hear from you again later. Yuki gave a short, joking laugh. She realized that something troublesome had come up and she decided not to push him on it. I'm not sure what this troublesome job of yours is, but please, be careful. You know what I always say. I hate mafias and violent people. After all, even a pro wrestler can die thanks to a single hoodlum's knife. Forget knives. If I screw up, a gunfight might turn me into Swiss cheese. At worst, this phone call might be our last goodbye, but there's no way I can say that. I'm sorry, Yuki-chan. After all this time, I can't say I'm one of those violent people you hate, and a mafia member on top of that. Don't worry about it! It's nothing that dangerous. You seem the type that drunks would hang out with, so I'm worried you might have ties to some suspicious people. Promise me that you won't get involved with any mafia. No matter what. I promise. Okay. Then I'll forgive you. I'll be praying for your job to end as quickly as possible. I don't know how long it'll take, but I'll call you as soon as it's finished. Then I'll treat you something fancy to make up for this. Acting comical until the very end, Alan set down the receiver. This, dude, you're digging yourself a bigger grave. When she finds out, it's going to be extremely catastrophic. This was the first time he'd told such a big lie to her. Every now and then, he thought leaving Primavera wouldn't be so bad. But he approved of Primavera's ideals, and he approved of his ability being used to further that end. He knew he couldn't stop working for his countrymen because he didn't want a girl to hate him. If he continued as a problem eraser, he might end up making her sad someday. When we finished our conversation, she seemed lonely, overly worried about my safety. She might have picked up a sense of danger from my voice. She knew that all my joking around was a lie, and yet she still worried about me. Sorry, Yuki-chan. It's for my countrymen. This time, I want to fight until I'm satisfied. Even I still don't have an answer for why we were forced to fight in that war. That's why, if I can make the most of myself until I'm satisfied, when that happens, I'll wash my hands of it. Though I don't think that'll be enough for Yuki-chan to forgive me. It's enough to make you cry. Why'd I fall in love with such a nice girl? Just like Alan, Yuki set the receiver down and hung her head. Alan. It's if I had the right to tell him not to get involved with the mafia. Oh my god, you're not Oh my god, you're with Meiju? Your Chinese assistant. Don't just answer the phone in my room. You're terrible. I hate you. Get out. How harsh, after I answer the phone for you out of kindness. Stop trying to act like my guardian. That's what I hate about you. I'll cut our ties as siblings again. What? Huh? You're a sibling. Okay. Don't be so cold, little sister of mine. You'll make me feel lonely. You already have a little sister who's even cuter than me, don't you? Are you calling upon me? An obedient, oh so cute little sister. Excuse me, I'm right here. Go downstairs. Mei Shu is always in a bad mood. Mei Shu? You get on downstairs too. I'm in a very bad mood. Your actual name is Mei Shu? I know. I'll be waiting down there. Please come down before your soup gets cold. No, thank you. I've decided to have fish and chips for lunch. I thought you'd say that. Of course, I also have English-themed English muffins for you. That's just why I hate you. Come on, get out! More importantly, who is the young man on the phone? Is he somebody that I know? Do I have to go immediately just make sure that I have to act like the older brother and the parent to make sure you're not dating anybody suspicious? Sorry. He seemed to be Japanese, didn't he? Get out of here! my god! What a twist! After roughly pushing Meiju into the hall, she slammed her door shut with a bang.
Meiju-sama, why does she hate you?
Because to protect her from the thing she hates most, I degenerated into becoming the thing she hates most.
What? You became the thing that she hated most to protect.
Well, well, well. Huh. What a... Huh. Alan's lying about his ties to the Mafia. Yuki's lying about her ties to the Golden Dragon Society. Maybe this relationship isn't entirely doomed to fail then. I'm sorry, Yuki, I lied. I'm part of the Mafia.
I'm sorry, I am part of the Golden Dragon. What?
What? And then... oh my goodness.
Ooh, boy, this certainly does bring up some interesting prospects of what...
I was wondering if she had something to hide, but I didn't expect her to be the sister of Meiju. I did not see that coming. And her name is Meishu? Meishu. I'm just gonna call her Yuki. Okay. Oh my god. I wasn't expecting that twist. And I'm looking forward to recording more, but right now, my throat's murdering me. So if you all like this, be sure to let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. And I will see all of you guys definitely in the next video. I need to know more about what the fuck is going on!